I'm Ed Marsh, and I appreciate you stopping to watch this episode of Signals from the OP. In the military, an OP or observation post is a couple folks far enough out in front to detect any hostile activity and provide an early warning. Now, these videos seek to do the same for execs and leaders of industrial manufacturing firms, and I hope you find value in it and share it with others. I want to talk about accountability, specifically accountability in capital equipment sales. This is a huge area of concern in many cases when I chat with companies about their machinery sales effectiveness. Now, by accountability, I mean the following. Does everyone in the company own their results, good or bad? Do they blame the customer or the competitor or the market, the quoting department, the machinery pricing, and all kinds of other factors? Or do they accept the fact that their number is a product of their efforts and their effectiveness? Secondly, are clear expectations established? Are they communicated and tracked? And this includes hours of work during the day, prospecting, meetings scheduled, preparation for meetings, timeliness in internal and admin tasks, etc. And what happens if accountability is not maintained? If you have a 30-day policy on expenses and a rep turns them in late, do you groan but pay them? Or do you refuse? If someone isn't prospecting as expected, do you gently nudge them? Or do you explain as a condition of employment? In other words, number one, are we clear about what needs to be done? Number two, do we hold ourselves accountable to doing what we've agreed we will? And number three, are we consistent, appropriate, and decisive in addressing breakdowns in accountability? The answer for many capital equipment companies with whom I chat is sadly no. In most cases, it's actually no to all three of those. And that's a massive drag on machinery sales effectiveness, where long lead times and complex buying journeys offer lots of room to hide and to excuse cutting sales corners. So the natural question is, can we change and improve? Is it possible? Of course, but many companies seem to be unable to do so. Think about CRM adoption, prospecting activities, new account sales versus repeat sales, and even administrative details. In almost every company, almost every rep refuses. Sometimes they're explicit and combative, often they're passive-aggressive. And as a result, companies often hesitate to publish hard and fast rules because they don't want to have to follow through. So why is this? Why is there so much resistance to change and so much reticence to hold people accountable? I recently came across a quote in Neil Howe's book. The book's called The Fourth Turning is Here, What the Seasons of History Tell Us About How and When the Crisis Will End. And in it, he wrote, "Boomers' governing style has been one of ironic detachment in which institutions are allowed to run themselves with little accountability." Wow. Now, you may disagree and you may be right. Maybe that's an incorrect statement, and maybe that's not the cause of lack of sales accountability. Perhaps he's correct, and that's not the reason or the cause of the endemic lack of organizational accountability that seems so pervasive. Nevertheless, the situation is real. So I want to share two clips from Shane Parrish's recent interview with Frank Slootman. Slootman is CEO of Snowflake and has a track record of growing companies. In the first clip, he talks about the consistency required in sales.
Stickler for consistent execution in sales organization, meaning that every quarter everybody shows up. You know, what we can't have is like, well, yeah, the bad quarter, but I'm going to do better next quarter. I don't want that. Okay, we need to run ourselves and our organization in such a way that we show up, all of us, every single period, you know, every single line of business, channel, geography, and so on, right? And if that becomes the culture, the expectation, and the reality, yeah, you're going to do way better than the rest of them, because, you know, sales tends to be a very unevenly distributed thing.
This second clip is much shorter, and I believe even more powerful. He makes a critical distinction between performance and behavior.
Performance is something that we will give more time. Behavior, we won't. And that's because behavior is a choice, not a skill set.
Think about it. If you're doing all your prospecting and not getting meetings, then potentially we need to coach you on technique. Or we need to consider our sales enablement and prospect list quality. Or we need to rethink our pricing and product market fit and our value proposition. But we're working on it together. On the other hand, if you're not making the calls, then there's nothing for us to discuss. We can be patient with performance, but not with behavior. Now, I know this sounds harsh, and for many in today's business world, indeed it feels harsh. But here are two alternative perspectives. Every single employee of the company and their families depends on your company's success in consistently finding and closing business. Some people aren't only potentially letting themselves down, they're disrespecting all their colleagues. And if you enable that, so are you. Secondly, you'll likely lose some folks, maybe some long-time employees with lots of technical knowledge. That's part of change that goes with growth. But think about the opportunity that creates. What if you create such a strong culture of collaboration, effort, and success founded on accountability that you become a beacon for performers who are disgusted with the pervasive status quo of mediocrity elsewhere? Imagine what your company could do then. And I challenge you to do that. I'm Ed Marsh. If you found value in this episode of Signals from the OP, check out the full playlist and maybe even like it, share it, and subscribe either to my YouTube channel, edmarshspeaks.tv, or at the related blog, signalsfromtheop.com.